Once upon a time, in a quaint little village surrounded by lush green fields and rolling hills, there lived a girl named Lila. Lila was known far and wide for her laziness. While other children her age helped their parents with chores, studied diligently, or learned trades, Lila spent her days lounging under the shade of the old banyan tree, daydreaming and avoiding any form of work. Her parents, kind and hard-working farmers, were at their wits' end. They tried everything to motivate her, gentle encouragement, stern lectures, even bribes of her favorite sweets, but nothing worked. Lila's laziness was like a heavy blanket she refused to shake off. One sunny morning, Lila's mother handed her a basket and said, "Lila, dear, the strawberries in the forest are ripe. Please go and pick some for us. We can make jam and sell it at the market." Lila groaned and rolled her eyes but reluctantly took the basket. She knew her mother wouldn't take no for an answer. As she trudged through the forest, Lila grumbled under her breath, "Why do I have to do all the work? It's so unfair." She spotted a patch of strawberries but decided they were too far to reach. Instead, she sat on a rock, plucked a single strawberry, and ate it lazily. "This is enough," she thought. "No one will notice if I bring back just one." Just as she was about to doze off, a tiny, glowing creature appeared before her. It was a fairy, no taller than a butterfly, with shimmering wings and a mischievous smile. "Hello, Lila," the fairy said. "I've been watching you, and I must say, your laziness is quite impressive." Lila blinked in surprise. "Who are you?" "I'm the Fairy of Effort," the fairy replied, "and I've come to teach you a lesson." Before Lila could protest, the fairy waved her wand, and the world around her began to spin. When Lila opened her eyes, she was no longer in the forest. She was in a strange, bustling village where everyone seemed to be working tirelessly. People were carrying heavy loads, building houses, tending to animals, and cooking meals. Lila looked down and realized she was wearing a plain dress and holding a broom. "Where am I?" she asked, panic rising in her voice. "You're in the village of Diligence," the fairy explained. "Hey, everyone works hard to contribute to the community. And now, so will you." Lila tried to argue, but the fairy disappeared, leaving her alone in the unfamiliar village. A stern-looking woman approached her and said, "You must sweep the streets today. If you don't, you won't get any food tonight." Lila's stomach growled at the mention of food. Reluctantly, she picked up the broom and began to sweep. The sun beat down on her, and her arms grew tired, but she had no choice. By the end of the day, her hands were blistered and her back ached, but the streets were spotless. The woman nodded in approval and handed her a small loaf of bread. Over the next few days, Lila was given different tasks, washing clothes, fetching water, and helping in the fields. Each day was harder than the last, and she missed her lazy afternoons under the banyan tree. But as time passed, something began to change. She noticed the pride in the villagers' faces as they worked together. She saw how their efforts made the village thrive. Slowly, she started to feel a sense of accomplishment when she completed her tasks. One evening, as she sat by the fire, exhausted but content, the Fairy of Effort reappeared. "Do you understand now, Lila?" the fairy asked. Lila nodded. "I think so. Working hard isn't just about doing chores. It's about contributing to something bigger than yourself. It's about feeling proud of what you've done." The fairy smiled. "Exactly. Laziness might seem comfortable, but it robs you of purpose and joy. Now, are you ready to go home?" Before Lila could answer, the fairy waved her wand again, and Lila found herself back under the banyan tree in her village. The basket of strawberries was beside her, still empty. But this time, Lila didn't groan or complain. She stood up, brushed off her dress, and began picking strawberries with determination. When she returned home, her mother was astonished to see the basket overflowing with ripe, red strawberries. "Lila, this is wonderful," her mother exclaimed. "What happened to you?" Lila smiled. I learned that being lazy might feel good for a moment, but working hard feels good for a lifetime. From that day on, Lila was a changed girl. She helped her parents with the farm, studied diligently, and even taught the younger children in the village how to read. The villagers marveled at her transformation and often asked what had inspired her. Lila would simply smile and say, "A little fairy taught me the value of effort." Years later, Lila grew up to be one of the most respected and hard-working members of the village. She never forgot the lessons she learned in the village of diligence and often shared her story with others, inspiring them to find joy in their work. Moral of the story: laziness may offer temporary comfort, but hard work brings lasting fulfillment and pride.